On December 27th, 1986, San Diego University student Cara Knott was driving home in California. When she did not arrive at her destination, a search was started. Her car was found on a dead-end road near an off-ramp from I-15. Soon after, her body was discovered. She had apparently been thrown over a bridge into a ravine.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's very sad. Days later, a local TV station had a report on the death of Cara Knott. Included in the broadcast was a segment on women's safety featuring safety expert and 13-year veteran of the California Highway Patrol, Officer Craig Payer.
Something tells me that he has something to do with this.
Foreshadowing.
Right.
During the interview, Payer was seen with many scratches on his face, which he claimed to have received from falling against a fence. That must have been a hard fall against a fence. Like, how do you hurt your face up against a fence?
How many times have we fallen climbing a fence?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay. Every time you've fallen against a fence, okay, how many times have you scratched your face?
None.
Yeah.
And I've actually jumped many fences. Most recently in my 40s, I jumped a fence.
To go swimming.
I did. I went swimming at midnight in a closed pool with my very wonderful dear friend. But I fell into a bush, and that's how I got injured. It wasn't from the...
From the fence.
It wasn't from the fence. Over the next several hours, dozens of women called the police station with complaints about Officer Payer. Most of them stated that the officer had made them feel very uncomfortable during a traffic citation, and others stated that he inappropriately touched their hair and shoulders. Could you imagine getting pulled over and the officer's, like, pawing your hair? Ugh. It's messed up.
Abuse of power. And also, how, like, so many women could say that they have been in a situation where they have been against an abuse of power.
Yes.
Whether it's police officer or their boss.
I mean,
or something to that liking.
I'd be shocked if it's not all women at some point. The majority of the women who complained had similar descriptions and ages as Cara. All were alone in their vehicle. One officer jokingly asked Payer if he killed Cara Knott.
What?
The room became very quiet, and Payer began to behave in an odd manner. This put him on the suspect list.
That's a weird thing for the other officer to do.
Yes, I agree. He must have had some kind of underlying feeling or heard something, right?
And he's trying to play it off with a joke.
Well, I mean, if all these women are suddenly calling into the police station after he's on TV... I mean, is it a leap to say there's something...
I'm with you, but there's like this thing about brotherhood in police stations and how an officer isn't going to even jokingly throw that out there to another officer. So for him to do that, I don't think that's a joke.
Right.
Even if he made it sound like a joke, it sounds like this officer knew something.
Well, thanks to eyewitness testimony, fibers found on Cara's body and a rope found in Payer's vehicle and blood testing, he was ultimately found guilty of murder and is serving 25 years to life in prison. He is the first California Highway Patrol officer found guilty of murder.
Cheers.
So, here's what ultimately they figured out what happened was that Officer Payer pulled her over and he had unwanted advances towards her, and she threatened to report him after this happened. She fought him off when he tried to grab her, leaving scratches on his face. He ultimately bludgeoned her with his flashlight and then strangled her with a rope.
Wow.
Witnesses would later claim to have seen Payer the night of the murder, driving recklessly. Another officer claimed to have seen Payer about an hour before he claimed to have received the facial scratches, and he already had them. Payer said he received the scratches at a certain time. However, another officer said that he actually saw Payer an hour before he claimed to fall into the fence, and he already had the scratches. A rope was found in his car, which matched the scratches left on Cara. A fiber found in Cara's body matched a patch worn on Officer Payer's uniform. Thank God for that fiber testing, right?
This was in 86, and if you recall in one of our other episodes, I talk about DNA sampling and how it had just started around this time. And so it was very new. And this officer, if he's ever done something like this before, wouldn't have thought that he was going to get caught this way.
Yes.
Because he didn't have to worry. This was literally turn of the era of DNA testing.
And it wasn't widely available. If you could get it, it was extremely expensive, and a lot of police forces couldn't.
It was a slow roller. Now it's everywhere, but it was very rare that
So at the time, DNA testing was not available, I suppose, for this case. A drop of blood was found on a shoe worn by Cara. It matched the officer's blood type, which was AB negative, which is the most rare blood type.
Yeah.
The officer turned convict is currently serving a 25 to life sentence.
He served 25 years. He's out now. Because in
25 to life.
Is it 25 to life?
It's 25 to life, and let me look to see if he's been released. I think he was released.
Now, depending on... So, 86. Oh, so December 27th is when she was murdered.
Yeah, right after Christmas.
So, 86 was the year that DNA testing came out.
Yeah.
Where they could actually match and say, this is their actual blood, not blood type. Yeah. So I wonder where specifically in California he worked where they didn't have that yet.
Right.
Because it was at the end of December.
I'm just trying to see if he has been released from prison, actually. Okay, so his next parole is in January 2027. He'll almost be 77 years old. So basically, he has been denied parole so far, and his next parole hearing is in 2027. So he is still serving prison time for this murder.